say.
It's for what I imagine.
Can you hear that title one more time?
Area
Between
curves. Two curves.
The definite integral of one minus the definite integral of the other. Is that it?
So this time you looked at the board.
Oh, no. I just guessed. I used my basic logic.
I can still carry the words.
But I was right. Look at that.
So this is kind of the starting point of the definition. So if you want to write that down. X1 is what I'm going to call the X on the left-hand side. X2 is what I'm going to call the X on the right-hand side. And we always subtract top minus bottom. This is a minus sign in case that's not clear. So if you imagine, if you kind of picture what's happening there, it's just like if I integrate f of x, it's going to find all of this area. And if I integrate g of x, it would find this area. So if I subtract, I'm left with the part in between. Right? That makes sense? Any questions? You guys good?
Good lesson.
I'm just gonna. They're hard to make up. So I'm just gonna. I put a few extras on here. I'll go through a few on the assignment with you. I'll be like, I will do some examples. You just guys have to work on your own. So yeah, I pretty much just gave you a title today. This title, nothing I need. Oh, I'm sorry, Dan.
You can subtract the original equation. So if you take that and you go back.
Yeah, it's like. Sorry.
Oh, there it is.
That was not intentional.
Were you out there, Doctor? Oh, I mentioned you.
No, they were talking about. Did you guys get the email that? I don't think so, but Gearbox sent an email to the staff telling us to basically like how to respond to the negative comments that are going on Facebook about our school. And I didn't know there were any, so it's like,
What's Facebook?
yeah,
What's
exactly.
Facebook?
Seriously, on MySpace, there's.
I saw one. The only reason that I
It's like so it's all old people just whining.
Yeah, I just checked it. But so, what negative comments?
I don't know.
What did he say? How did he say to respond?
Professionally.
Professionally.
Twitter, how many
Here's my professional opinion. Violence sucks.
Okay. So I'm going to go through 3 examples with the graph. But as you're doing these ones with a graph, keep in mind that you do have to know how to do them without a graph. So, it's easy when I give you the picture to set up the integral. So I'm just looking at this one, and I'm going to set up my interval. I'm looking at this shaded space in here. So what is the leftmost x value for that space? It's 0. It goes all the way over to 4. And then I want to put the top equation minus the bottom equation. So in some cases, it's obvious which is which. In some, it's not. So if you don't know which one's on top and which one's on the bottom, plug in a number. So for example, if I plug 1 into this equation, what do I get? 1. If I plug 1 into this equation, what do I get? 2. So then I can tell which is which, right? So this one must be the one on top, and this one must be the one on the bottom. So then I'm I'm typing in, or I'm setting it up as the top equation minus the bottom equation times dx. And this is the beautiful part where you could just type it into your calculator. So type that in. Let's make sure we're all getting what we should be getting.
Alright, guys. I'm gonna try to make it.
The whole entire thing.
Yeah, bro.
Like,
I mean, do you want to like pick certain parts of it, or?
You have to do it in like, you have to make a graph.
Yes, the whole thing. I'm sorry.
I wasn't sure if we were just doing the integral of the little part, or we were doing the whole thing.
Yeah, I want you to type the whole thing in. I could have been a little nicer. I apologize. So, I would do like 2x to the 0.5. I think it's probably easier than 2. I don't know. It doesn't matter. 2x to the 0.5 minus x to the 0.5, comma x, comma 0, comma 4. I get 5 1/3. You also get 5 1/3. 16 over 3, same thing. And if you were at a free response, like that's all you have to show. You just show, here's the, if you have the calculator on that part. You set it up, and then you type it into your calculator, and you get the answer. Is everybody getting 5 1/3 or 16/3?
You. Oh, yeah.
Question?
I did. I know.
Okay. If I look at number 2, I can look at this and I can see what the x value boundaries are. But let's say we couldn't. Let's say I didn't have this graph. I need to find out where these two intersect. How do I find out where things intersect? 2 equations. Set them equal to each other. I don't think we went through this in the calculator. So go to your home screen. Press the button that says home.
Oh, no. I don't know. I forgot what was the home screen. I didn't realize this was the home screen.
Are you home already?
Yeah, I was already home.
Oh, you're already. Okay. And then I'm going to go F2 solve. And I'm going to type in those equations. So I'm going to go 2x to the 0.5 equals, I'm typing in the actual equation, x squared divided by 4. There's an equal sign, like on the left-hand side. Then you go comma x, because you got to tell the calculator what variable you want, even though there's only one variable there, it still wants you to specify, like, hey, solve for x. And you should get x equals 4 and x equals 0, which, like, I can look at the graph and see that, but if you don't have the graph, this is what you do. Kyle, what's up?
Gosh.
Where, what?
That is amazing.
Where were you?
Where is this pen?
Where did you lose us?
I just got the answer.
What answer?
Last.
Did you get the right answer?
Yeah.
Okay. So, in number 2, we're trying to find out where those two equations are equal. So hit F2 solve. And then type in the two, like one equation equals the other, comma x. And so even if I didn't have a graph, I could still set this up and go, okay, that's from 0 to 4. Again, if I don't know which one's on top, plug in a number. So, like I'm going to plug in 1 to both, whichever one comes out to the bigger number, the bigger y value, that's the one that's on top. Whatever one comes out to a smaller y value, that's the one on the bottom. So if I plug 1 into this one, I'll get 2. If I plug 1 into this one, I would get 1/4. So the one with the 2 is on top, right? So 2 times the square root of x minus x squared over 4. And then you type it in. Kyle, are you caught up or not? Not quite. Are you put it in solver?
Yeah.
So go ahead and integrate that.
The one that has the bigger y value goes first.
Yeah, because that's on top. You always go top first minus bottom.
So
plug in 5.
And would you use another one?
Is it the same answer?
As for your Wi-Fi?
If you plug in 5, it would flip at that point, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's the same answer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Where is it?
It is. I'll wait a second. Well,
Yeah, okay, I got it.
what are you doing?
I got the X.
You get the 0 and 4? Alright. I'll wait a second. Cause if I'm going too fast, just yell at me, but I'll give you a second to catch
Why
up.
would it be the same as last week? It's all the same except for the second equation is x squared over 4. The integral of x squared over 4 is not the same as square root of that.
It just means that in that region, when you look at those shapes that were created, like those, as a whole, those two equations are equidistant from 2 times the square root of x between 0 and 4. They don't have to be the exact equation, they have the same area, you know.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the shapes, they're not the same shape. It just kind of worked out that way. Yeah.
What parts do we not have on this tutor for the AP test?
So there are 4 sections on the AP test, 2 free response, 2 multiple choice. 1 of each of those is calculator, 1 of each of those is not calculator.
So we might have to do this without a calculator.
Not super likely. If you have to do it without a calculator, it's going to be pretty simple to do by hand. Yeah. Actually, like this level problem is not like a typical problem in the AP test. It'll either be like way more confusing than this. 2 cosine e to the x ln of 17.7 whatever squared, and you'll get your calculator. Or it'll be like x and x squared, and you won't get your calculator. This is kind of like a middle ground where they wouldn't. It's like too hard for the non-calculator, but too easy for the calculator. But it's effective to teach you how to do it. And we'll practice all those too.
And you have to show, like, for free response, you have to show where you got 0 and 4. You just, like, say these two.
So if you don't have the graph, you would want to do that. Yeah.
So that they would work.
Yes. I know we haven't talked a ton about the test yet. We will. Like, I'm just trying to get through everything, get through all the material. Should finish maybe a week after spring break or so, leaving us about a month. And then that whole month is just review practice tests, like going through the structure of the test, take a practice test. You know, so we'll get to it. I'm not ignoring it. Just doing content first.
Whole AP test to have one slate just done.
Will you?
One practice one.
I'll give you several practice ones. I don't have time in class because it's like a 3-hour test. We can't like do it in class, but we can do parts of it. And that's what we'll do. Yeah. All right. Any questions on 1 or 2? Are we caught up? Let's look at 3 because there's something a little different going on there. I want you to set those equal to each other, just to practice. I mean, I know we can look at it and see, but set those equal to each other and find out where they intersect.
On the calculator.
On the calculator. Welcome to do that by hand if you want. Oh, good luck.
I tried to do it by hand on the last one. To figure out.
I mean, it's possible. It's just annoying.
I wanted to figure out how to find like the square root of x.
Did you ask me a question? You just keep looking. I don't know what's happening.
Did you hear what I said?
Not really. That's why I said, did you ask me a question?
I didn't ask me a question. I said something. And I
But then you looked at
have a
me.
response.
So it was kind of a question. It was a statement you wanted a response to.
Yes.
I didn't hear your statement.
I said I was trying to figure out.
You just
how
wanted to make
the
sure you
last
didn't have
one
to
would
answer.
simplify down where it'd be like integrating square root of x.
It did?
It should if it matched up with the last one and it's the same
8 and 4x4 have the same area, so it doesn't have to come from the same equation. So when you put this in solver, you should, I'm just looking, so hopefully you get x equals 2. So now if you look up at the top, we've got 3 x values, because they gave us 2 of them. And they gave us those 2 vertical lines on the side. And then there's an intersection point in the middle.
About 6.
Yeah, there's also 6.
I don't care about 6. Why?
Because it doesn't intersect.
No, not because it doesn't intersect. Because they gave me this boundary. They're telling me only look between 1 and 4.
Oh, I didn't know that was okay.
So those are boundaries. This line is x equals 1, and this line is x equals 4, and we're looking in the middle. So we get, what do you get, 2 and 6? Is that it?
Yeah.
The 2 we care about, because that's in between the 1 and the 4. The 6 we don't, because that's like just outside of our window. So we got to set up 2 integrals now. I have to have one integral going from 1 to 2, and another integral going from 2 to 4. The reason I need 2 is because the top switches, right? So like in this first part here, the top equation is, well, let's figure out which one. Okay, so negative x squared over 2 plus 2. That's just going to be like a regular parabola shifted up 2 spots. So this equation is this graph, which means this equation must be this graph. So between, like in this first little spot right here, the x squared over 2 plus 2 is on top, and that's on the bottom. And then it flips. You guys see what I'm talking about? So from 1 to 2, negative x squared over 2 plus 2 minus blah, blah, blah. There's the x. And that whole, that's going to be a little tiny piece. Plus, and then you got to go from 2 to 4. And basically you're just flipping, flopping around because the top and bottom traded places. And then your job is to type them in, add them up, get the answers.
It says error and it says syntax.
That means you have a syntax error.
What is that?
It means you type, like, you're missing a comma or a parenthesis or like some sort of calculator grammar.
Too many. What does that mean?
It means you're arguing too much.
Gosh, dude,
Maybe it
tone
just
it
wants me
down.
to distribute the negative on my own.
No, you don't have to. It's a pain to type these in. Like, this is a skill that needs practicing. If you are stuck, what I would recommend is write out what you are going to type in. Because if you type it on the calculator, like scrolling back and forth to check is a giant pain. But if you write out what you're supposed to type in, it's easier.
Should you put, oh, so we should put parentheses around both of them.
We need comma x,
Yes.
comma 1, comma 2, right?
Yes. And you guys thought the calculator part was going to be easy.
Well, it's not that it's difficult, it's just tedious.
Tedious is difficult because it's annoying. That's what I would say.
What the heck?
I'd still say words.
It says syntax. It sounds to me better than the negative outside my parentheses.
Did you put a minus sign instead of a negative sign? Or a negative sign instead of a minus sign?
That's not what I'm saying.
Yes, there's a difference. The calculator
Okay. That's what I said.
minus sign instead of a negative sign.
That's why I said that. Okay.
You know,
So it's hard for me to even show you like what I typed. I mean,
That's
I can, but I don't know how much it's going to help you. There's the first part of what I typed. I don't know if this is helpful or not. But. So that's just the top equation minus the bottom equation. I have a giant parenthesis at the beginning opening all this up. And then comma x, comma 1, comma 2, and I close that very first parenthesis.
Oh, whoops. I have
Do you have a minuscule problem?
from
What's that?
I got -7/2 instead of +7/2.
Did you switch the order of them? Or did you go comma 2, comma 1 by any chance? Because both of those things would cause negatives. How many have 7 halves?
for the first
Okay.
one.
Yeah, but just for the first part, yeah.
Is that the same thing as 11.5 because my brain is too tired to do basic math?
No, it's not.
Then I've messed up somewhere.
It's
For the other part, just to shortcut it, I'm going to show you what. So, I'm going to go here, and I want to go from 2 to 4, right? So all I'm going to do is change this from 2 to 4. So what am I not changing here that I actually technically should be changing?
the minus.
Is the order, right?
So can we go
So what's going to happen to my answer?
go negative?
It's going to be the opposite of what I want. So I'm taking a shortcut because I'm not typing in all that crap again. But in my head, I have to know that I'm taking a shortcut. I know that I didn't switch them, and I know that my answer has to be the opposite of whatever. So you could do 4 to 2, and then you're flipping both. And so it's 11.5 for your final answer. Okay. Hello? Wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing good too. Thanks for asking.
Is it 8?
From where?
I do.
Okay.
First.
11.5 here.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Well, I got 4.
That I'm pretty sure is the same thing.
Like that. But I did it a different way than him.
Yeah, I mean, I might just put it all in.
Do you guys snacks? Instead of like, yeah, you never said no. Just know that my initial answer was I went in, but I changed the signs. Sheets. I made the first equation negative instead of I put a negative sign for the first.
Or you could just do 4 to 2 instead of 2 to 4. That's what I did.
No, someone posted like a story about these guys. Alright, dude, I can feel that's a man for you.
I mean, that often happens a lot to dogs that are really good dogs.
It's still fucked up.
It is.
I saw a picture of it.
Yeah, it's really
I'm looking at it right now.
Especially
Yeah.
He was freaking out here and all the pimples on his face. I was petting him. He was freaking out. I was like, stop. Yeah, just ask me my reaction.
On her board, there's a quote that says, "Before you judge someone, walk a mile in his shoes, and then don't judge him, just leave because you have his shoes."
No, have you seen the quote on Lucian's door?
What?
I am emotionally broken. I was there for that. We were like in the middle of taking a test. It's dead silent. He's like, I think she finished, so she was reading it in her book. She finished it, and she slammed it shut. She goes, I am emotionally broken, and she walks out the door.
Are you serious?
What is she in?
I don't remember, but like she had finished the test early, so it's dead silent. She's reading her book. She finishes it. She slams it shut. She goes, I am emotionally broken, and she walks out the door.
She would do that too. That's hilarious.
She's in like 9th grade. It's hilarious. Little small kids. Little Freshy Katie. Well, Freshy Katie was a mess, but then again, so was Little
senior.
Freshy. Everybody was a mess.
Yeah, so was big senior Katie was still a mess.
Yeah, we're all still
Wherever.
Do you guys hear Big Red talk?
What?
You guys want to hear Big Red talk?
No, I'm a junior. No, I didn't.
Wait, are you forming on Facebook?
Yeah.
Then I might see that.
Yeah, I saw her Big Red talk. It's about how backstage hands are underappreciated.
Yeah.
I feel
Got a
like
bunch of stuff. So she's doing that. They told her she had to do a bunch of stuff. So she said, like, I don't know what she did or didn't have. But she had a bunch of issues going on. Had a bunch of her tag team friends help her. So it's like really over the top. You just like, no, it's not visualize her like they're making her. So she has to like breaks. Okay, so help her fix it. Her microphone needs to fix it. Stuff like that. It's like kind of.
He walked past my president media.
She said it
So in other
was
words, everybody just got to think that he just suddenly accident.
Yeah.
What is
But
that?
she
I saw like
is.
that sign.
Yeah, she is. I would say that Katie.
I've seen her in
That's
her
how
house.
Gavin from my.
Then again, I've also seen myself in her house. And
You got a best thing in the
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that's it.
No, she's not acting. I think Katie's the only person. I think the only issue she has is like she's impressed with Southern pressure festivals, which is like something like all this time she's like just hectic.
What? Tonight?
After the show is
My opening night? Yeah. Seven. Yeah, like 2 hours. It was an hour. It was actually an hour and a half.
I just got a call from this place. Maybe you guys know about this. This seemed fishy to me, but I could be wrong. I got a call from a place that the New York phone number, and they said you have a problem with your Windows, and you need to take it to
Wait, Windows like PC or Windows
PC.
like that is a scam.
That's definitely a scam every time.
Don't do that.
What is the scam?
What did they
They're
say?
trying to get like
They said
information.
take it to your nearby Windows store.
I don't see why they would like.
I'm like, okay, how do you know my phone number?
yeah,
What's
they
wrong
would-
with my
they
computer?
would
Which
show
computer?
you something on your computer. It would probably be
Was it an
emailed
actual
directly
person?
from Windows.
It was a person.
Yeah, I would
You asked them these
Okay, wait.
questions.
Do they
I
have
did.
a weird accent?
What did they say?
They did.
Then that is 100%.
His name was John Miller, but he talked like this.
Oh yes, that's totally a scam.
So, of course, anyone with an accent is
Pretty much anyone with an accent is a scam.
Anyone
Yeah.
with an accent that tells you that there is
What's
something
the
wrong with
scam,
anything
though?
other than what you are talking about.
I had to. He does have a.
What are they
what's
trying to
the
accomplish?
scam? Yeah, they just asked him to take it to his
What did they
Windows.
do with your answers to your questions?
Call people to see if they'll pick up to see if it's like an active phone number.
And what do you just like hang up?
You just
Well,
ignore it.
if you pick up the phone, then it's active. No one else sells on the telemarketer.
So, but why did the guy talk to me at all, though? At that point, when he just be like, "Oh, hi, I just wanted, whatever." Hang
Well,
up.
because
Or
they
just
don't
hang up
want you
without
to
saying-
know
Or just hang
what's
up
going
without
on.
saying.
They don't want you to know that's what's going on. It's looking weird.
I don't know.
What if it's still phone number? We should have done that too.
If you keep getting calls from telemarketers,
Right now.
yeah.
You could have stolen his phone too, though.
Is there any like Windows would never call?
No,
Like a
they
Windows
send you an
headquarters that would.
They send you an email.
It's totally send you an email.
Yeah.
I get emails from Microsoft.
To be honest, it says scam written all over it, but they didn't scam you with anything, which is weird.
Totally. That's why I'm confused.
Yeah.
Like 100% smells like a scam, but what?
Maybe
Not
it
like you
wasn't
ask
a
them,
scam,
like,
maybe
"Oh,
it was a
I'll take care of
prank.
it for you. Give me your credit card number." And, I don't know what the.
Maybe it wasn't a scam,
Yeah.
maybe it was a prank. To screw with your mind.
What's the point of that?
Just to screw with your mind.
Do you guys have 11.5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Mr. Davis,
Yeah.
on the stats test,
No. See how I'm like starting class?
I was trying to talk to you about it before you started.
Let's go to some of the non-calculator or the non-draft ones. So like jump to
13.
13 is exactly number 2.
Oh.
I'm gonna say 14. No, wait. 14 is just like 14. You're right.
Yeah.
I tried to slip that past your pile, but nothing.
Let's go to one of the bigger ones.
Let's try 17. So you don't have a calculator. Or you do. I don't know why I keep saying that. You don't have a graph. You do have a calculator, which means you actually could create a graph. Try 17 right now, all on your own. No graph. I gotta fly to New York and deal with the thing. I'll be back.
Alright, bye. Yeah. See,
Like he really gets us.
He kept trying to rush me up the phone. He's like, alright, bye. I'm like, no, let's talk about this. But, like, I was just trying to figure out this scam. He didn't
Like,
get anything
wait,
out of it.
for this minute, I don't have to work. Keep
Yeah.
talking to me.
Hold on, you're pulling.
What do
I
I
don't
do?
have to talk to Snowburger if I'm talking
Can
to
we
you.
call him back, all of us? That would be so funny. Wait, I'm supposed to delete what file? Yo, Windows. Wait, what's that file
Well,
called?
I don't know. Are we gonna call him back?
We're calling him right now.
It's like some
Windows
sort
has a problem.
It's probably not even like delete some sort of Windows system file, and it just completely f's your entire computer. I don't remember what it's called.
Are you calling him back?
Yeah, so it's like a modem, I'm calling it.
Maybe he's not
Windows offices in New York City call from modems. It's weird.
We have to call them and tell them that there's something wrong with their computer.
Yeah, right. The phone is free.
Yes, your computer has a wire stick. Your soft's
Do number 17!
Sorry.
You should Google the number because sometimes it says like.
I will. Yeah. I'm gonna actually do the problem first though. Like, bozos.
So, is it cheating to make a graph?
No.
Yeah.
So you can tell if anything's fishy. Anything that's fishy.
What number are you trying? You said let's try number what?
We're trying to figure out which equation's the bottom and the top, so it's gonna plug a number in.
So you got, yeah, okay. So plug a number in between -5 and -2. Make sure you're not
Right.
plugging in like 7.
That's what I was just about to say.
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt. I interrupted your conversation.
No, it's all good. We're just doing our best to figure this out. Our best is doing.
Well, your teacher's like talking on the phone after class, so it's understandable.
I'm trying to see if it'll do that.
So the first thing you should have done here is solver. Set the two equations equal. You get two answers. You get 1 and -1. I don't care about either of those, right? So they're not in between the x values they gave me. So the 1 and the -1 I ignore. And then the lower x value goes on the bottom, higher goes on top. I plugged in -3 to see which equation was on top. You got to plug a number in that's in between the two x values they gave me. So then I got like 2/9 and 2. So I knew the 2 was on top. And then I plugged them in. Got it. Can you take your hat off, please?
What?
Can you take your hat off, please?
Oh, sure.
Why would I first said that? Did you look over?
What?
I said, can you take your hat off? And your response was this. Like you looked like it was on your elbow. Like you were. Never mind.
I'm confused. I took it off, didn't I?
You did. I'm not saying you didn't. I'm just saying your first response was to look at your elbow,
So
which I thought was strange.
And not
And not like, oh,
up towards your hat.
never mind. Totally irrelevant. Shouldn't
I
have said
totally
it.
forgot it was on there. Laura put it on my head like her.
So you plug in the small number and then the big number, right?
The left hand and then the right hand. Yeah, it's lower than higher. Yeah.
Because I
So then you got the negative.
yeah. Which I think is what I did in the last problem too.
Okay. How many have 27 fifths? This class has been all screwy. How many feel like you know what's going on? That's what I want to know. Am I necessary anymore?
No.
I mean,
All right,
you
I got
are,
some-
or we do
I got
still
some
need
things-
you are, we do still need a calculus teacher. Have fun in New York.
So, The rest of that is your homework.